What's a hat I ain't worn in a while? How about the pirate hat? We're going to do a video today for a couple reasons we'll get to in a minute. But we're going to talk about where I'm at in my book goals for this year. Am I going to make it? Alright, not loving the pirate hat. Not loving it at all. So, welcome back to Stormin Norman Says. I'm Stormin Norman. Must mean I have something to say. We got this video to do for a couple reasons today. One, I know this video because when I did the first one, back in, I don't remember when it was, January, February, something like that, it didn't get good views. So I'm aware going into this that I'm not going to get good views on this video. But two things. One, it's on my list of videos I need to do, so I need to check it off, get it over with, get it done. And two, I've been pondering a big purchase this weekend. Y'all know how I am when it comes to purchasing something. I got to research it to death. And I've been running numbers, searching, buying a new vehicle, by the way. I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not saying I am. Not saying I am. But my truck has been having problems, and they were kind of intermittent problems, but Friday they stopped being intermittent and became permanent. So I got to figure out what's wrong with that. I'm pretty sure it's fuel pump, but we got to figure that out. But I'm asking myself, why do you keep fixing this thing? So I've been looking at what are my options, okay? I'm not jumping into it. I'm just going to see what my options are. I've been looking at my options. So I don't have a bunch of time thought to put into a video because I was going to do the video about paper. I want to do a video about fountain pen paper. At least the fountain pen paper I'm aware of, because there's people out there, DWRDnet, I think is the name of the YouTube channel. He knows a lot more about paper than I do. But I want to talk about fountain pen paper, but I ain't really got time to do that this weekend, this Sunday evening. Yeah, it's pretty much afternoon, evening. So we're going to talk about the books I set out to read this year and the books I have already read this year. We'll get to the fountain pen one later. Maybe by the end of this week I have my mind made up on if I'm going to buy a new vehicle or just fix this turd out here and keep driving it. I mean, regardless, I'm going to fix it. But I could be out there fixing it right now, or at least trying to fix it. But fuel issues are such a pain in the butt, because there's so many things it could be. Like, I could go out there right now and change the fuel filter. I have one, and it could run fine, be fine. It could be the fuel filter is clogged up, or no. I could change that, it could still be doing it. Then I could take the bed off or drop the tank, but it's easier to take the bed off. Take the bed off, change the fuel pump, because I have one of those too. I have a fuel pump already, and think that's going to fix it, and that might not fix it. It could be the injectors. I mean, the list goes on. So we're going to talk about books today, for however many people feel like liking that. So the beginning of the year started, and I had decided, because I went to, I think it was Goodwill. I went to Goodwill and I bought The Hobbit. You know, when I go to Goodwill, I look at their used books just to see if there's anything that catches my eye. And they had The Hobbit, and I'm like, I've never read The Hobbit. I'll give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. So I got it, and I like this copy. I like this size. Y'all know I love paperbacks, so I like this size. Nice big font and an easy to read. Anyway, I read The Hobbit, and it took me, I believe, 20 days. I read this in 20 days. I just couldn't put the thing down. Got through it. 3 weeks was done. So after I read that, I decided, you know what the logical step would be. And I have seen all the Lord of the Ring movies several times, but I've never read the books. So after I finished The Hobbit, I was like, you know what I should do? I should spend this year going through the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So I did. I ordered them. Y'all saw the video. Well, like 20 of y'all did. But y'all saw the video where I ordered from an online used bookstore all three. Probably should have got all three of them, but I didn't. But I ordered them. These two were the movie covers, and the Return of the King was an older version that didn't have the movie. It was before the movies came out. And I read Fellowship of the Ring. Finished that. That was done. And I haven't read this one yet. Over halfway done with The Two Towers. And it's September. So if I'm doing good, if I keep up, because I've kind of doubled my effort on reading The Two Towers, so I can get it finished by the end of the month. If I can get this finished by the end of the month, I'm somewhat confident that I can read The Return of the King in October, November, December, and reach my goal before we get to the end of the year. But, as is my attention span, I veered off and started reading other books. Y'all know about this one. We did a couple videos on the bullet journal method. I read the bullet journal method, and I read this book, Scottish Folklore. It was pretty thin. Didn't think it would take me too long. It took me longer than I thought, because the book wasn't what I thought it was. Like the way it's formatted, it wasn't really the way I thought it was going to be. But I read it. I finished it. It took me a minute, but I did finish it. And then we had books on the Kindle that I read. And let me check my thing and see if I'm missing any. Because when I started the Sterling Ink second half of the year planner, after my bullet journal experiment, I made a list of books I read this year. Hobbit, Fellowship of the Ring, Scottish Folklore, Bullet Journal Method. Showed y'all those already. I read a book called Dealing with Doubt. The pastor that started the Bible college that I graduated from, he's got a couple books he wrote, and he released a new one called Dealing with Doubt. I read that. It's pretty short book. I feel like there's more than that, but we'll pretend like there wasn't. Oh, there's an update I should make right there. Where is my... This is a different color ink, but we'll use it anyway. I forgot to write another one that I finished. The Last MacLeod. So, I've told y'all before, I'm into the Scottish games and festivals and all that, and I'm a member of Clan MacLeod Society. Clan MacLeod Society. So I'm in a Facebook group for the Clan MacLeod, and there's a lady in there from Scotland, and she wrote a poetry book called The Last MacLeod, and it's pretty good. And it's a fictional story she made up, but it's a series of poems that go through the story, which I thought was really cool. I've never thought of that before, telling a story. Like, obviously when you write a poem, you're telling a story, but she wrote several poems telling the story throughout. That's pretty cool. So those are some books. Those are books that I have already finished for the year. Hobbit, Fellowship of the Ring, Scottish Folklore, the Bullet Journal Method, Dealing with Doubt, and The Last MacLeod. I believe that's it. But let me check my Kindle here and make sure there's not some other ones that I missed. So far, here's what we got going on. I got to finish... Oh, and by the way, and after I finished The Hobbit, I went and watched the movies, because I'd only seen the first one. I had not seen the last two. So after I finished The Hobbit, I went and watched the movies. And it was cool to be able to be like, oh, even and we'll get to this maybe in a minute. So the first Hobbit movie, I've already seen it before I read the book. So when I was reading the book, I could be like, well, that wasn't in the movie, or they did that differently in the movie. And then when I got to the other two movies, it was like, oh, okay, I see how they did that. That wasn't in the book. That wasn't in the book, or that was different in the book, which we all know. I've told this to people before, well, that movie wasn't like the book. Well, for one thing, no movie is going to be like the book, like exactly, for the most part. There might be some exceptions out there, but some things that are written just don't translate into movies and making money off movies. So I don't mind when they make a book into a movie and they take liberties with a few things. That's fine, as long as it ain't absolutely ridiculous. Like the Gunslinger movie they made a couple years ago with Idris Elba. I went and seen that, and I was like, nah, this ain't even like remotely close to the book. And I love the Gunslinger series, but no one yet has made a movie out of that was any good. And like someone pointed out in a YouTube video I was watching, that the Gunslinger series might be better off as a TV show and not a movie. And I tend to agree with that. So currently what I'm reading is the Two Towers. I'm trying to finish the Two Towers. And I'm trying, because was the goal. The Lord of the Rings trilogy was the goal. And then I just kind of get sidetracked into reading other things. That's why I put some books down here on on my little shelf here, to kind of tell myself, like, don't read those. I know you want to, but don't read them. Save them for next year. Next year ain't that far away. So currently reading the Two Towers, trying to get it finished up so I can read Return of the King. Let me get that. Trying to finish Two Towers so I can read Return of the King. This is like a 90s edition. It looks very 90s to me. So it says 50th anniversary edition. So looking forward to that. And once I finish, I'm gonna go watch some movies again. And then in my Kindle, I got a couple books in here I haven't finished, but recently, the last couple weeks, I've been reading Ernest Hemingway on Writing, which I think it's not an Ernest Hemingway book. It's somebody that took all Ernest Hemingway's quotes and advice about writing and put it all in one book. So that's what that's about. I like reading books about writing from famous writers. I've read Stephen King's book on writing, which is probably the best one I've ever read. That's a really good one. And I'm also reading Charles Bukowski, Love is a Dog from Hell. And I'm only about 20% through both of them. I'm trying to keep them even. So like I read one, I get it up to a certain percentage, and then I'll read the other one and get it up to a certain percentage. But Charles Bukowski's been pretty good. Pretty crude stuff that he writes about, but I like his writing style. But that's what I got going on. We're trying to get these books read. And then, of course, when the new year starts, does my voice sound weird to y'all? It kind of sounds a little hoarse. When I was teaching Sunday school, I was like, I don't sound like myself today. I don't know what that is. But next year, I got some books I want to read. And I'll show them to you, even though they may not, this ain't set in stone kind of thing. My buddy let me borrow this book, The Makers of Scotland, Picts, Romans, Gaels, and Vikings. He said he didn't like it because it read like a textbook. So we'll try that out, see if I like it. I can probably deal with the whole reads like a textbook thing. And then, of course, some that y'all have seen already. One that y'all haven't. The Notebook, A History of Thinking on Paper. I want to read this one next year. I feel like, now you can't predict these kind of things, but I feel like I can get through this one pretty quick, because I read already the first chapter, I want to say. Yes. So I've read the introduction already. I haven't started the actual book itself, but the introduction was really interesting. There's a guy, YouTube channel I follow called Alexander Writes. and he wrote a new book called The Highland Tour. And it says a cozy Scottish mystery. Now, I'm not into mysteries. Like, that's not my genre, my favorite thing to read. But I am into Scottish things. So I bought this, support him, and, you know, I might like it. It's Scottish. You know, I'm not really a mystery kind of person, but we'll give it a shot. And then, of course, I got The Artist's Way. I want to read this one next year. Doesn't look like it'd be too complicated, but we'll see. I don't like the size. I don't like the shape of the book, but you know, what can you do? That's what it is. So those are some books I want to read for sure next year, and you know, I got some other ones on the shelf that are past due for reading, but they're not, you know, I'm not as excited about them as I am about these. But the goal at hand is to finish Lord of the Rings, possibly finish Bukowski and the Hemingway book, but that's not, you know, it's not necessary. But what is necessary is finishing Lord of the Rings, and I'm 2.5 books in. So I feel like I can do it, but we'll find out. Anyway, I appreciate y'all watching this video. Like I said, last time I did this video, the beginning of the year, it went over like a turd in a punch bowl. But that's okay, they can't all be winners, you know. So now I can check this one off my list. Next video we can get into paper snobbery. That's what we're going to talk about. Being a paper snob. And different degrees of being a paper snob. And what I have noticed, my own personal experience with fountain pens and paper, because you can't say that the paper that you use with a fountain pen is not important, because that is not true. But at the same time, some people go a little extreme with it, which is fine. You know, that's their prerogative. But I think some of the things with people are like, oh, I don't use that, and I'm like, I've used it with fountain pens and it worked just fine. We'll talk about that in a future video. Appreciate y'all for watching. If you did watch this far, I know some people watch my videos all the way through regardless, and I appreciate you. But don't forget to like the video, comment. Comments are like YouTube currency. And subscribe if you're not subscribed, and join if you want to become a member and get early access to videos and members only content. I've been Stormin' Norman. The Jaguars lost, but I have said things. Catch you on the next one.